everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my spoiler-free review of Tenet. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything from the story. So yeah, hang on tight. I'm just going to share my thoughts with you guys. I went and saw it in the theaters, which was super exciting because I hadn't been back to the theaters since, you know, this whole beer bug thing began and everything shut down. So I was super excited to go. And so when I went and the movie started, the novelty wore off quite fast being in the movie theater because, and I'm gonna start by saying this, the reason for that was because Tenet does have major sound issues. Now I covered this with actually John Talks on one of our episodes of Infinite Talk, which is on Wednesdays. You guys should check it out. And also sub to his channel because he's amazing. But yeah, so we covered this, and this is the article. Okay, so this is the article, and it basically says, "Are Nolan movies too loud? A look back at the director's defense of his sound design." Over the last decade, Christopher Nolan's sound mixing has become as hotly debated as Christopher Nolan's storytelling. Tenet is no exception. And that's right, it's just not an exception. One of the biggest complaints against the director's $200 million espionage epic is that its overbearing sound mix makes important dialogue unintelligible. Absolutely, 100% correct. You can't hear what's going on. It's a criticism Nolan has often faced, notably with Bane's dialogue in The Dark Knight Rises and the overpowering Interstellar score. Many moviegoers even complained that the explosive sound design of Dunkirk was deafening. So I never really had a problem with The Dark Knight Rises or Interstellar. I actually quite enjoyed those movies. Dunkirk I've never seen, so I can't comment. But as far as sound goes, I don't remember it being quite as prevalent an issue as it is with Tenet. Tenet was, oof, you really can't hear anything that's going on other than this really crazy bass sound, this like sound that it just sounds like your speaker has been blown out and somebody needs to get a new speaker, replace your speaker. But then you realize that this is actually part of the movie, and it really just kind of goes over all the important dialogue, which is no good. I don't know what Chris Nolan has against dialogue. Forbes critic Scott Mendelson writes in his Tenet review, "What was glorified joke with Tom Hardy's mass monologue in The Dark Knight Rises and relative annoyance in Interstellar becomes a clear and present danger in Tenet." And I never ever agree with Scott Mendelson on much, but this I actually agree with. He makes a really good point here. Now, this article goes on to say, are Christopher Nolan movies too loud? It's a question IndieWire's Chris O'Falt attempted to answer in 2017, just as Dunkirk was taking off at the box office to an abundance of complaints about its sound design. That each Nolan's last 4 movies have been met with the same sound mixing criticism means that Nolan's sound design is here to stay, whether moviegoers like it or not, and there's a reason for it too, at least in the director's eyes. So he says, "There are particular moments in Interstellar where I decided to use dialogue as a sound effect. So sometimes it's mixed slightly underneath the other sound effects or in other sound effects to emphasize how loud the surrounding noise is," Nolan said in 2014 in response to the Interstellar sound complaints, proving to his fans that the divisive sound mixing was purposeful and not some audio mistake. "I don't agree with the idea that you can only achieve clarity through dialogue," Nolan continued. "Clarity of story, clarity of emotions. I try to achieve that in a very layered way, using all different things at my disposal, picture and sound. I've always loved films that approach sound in an unusual approach for a mainstream blockbuster, but I feel it's the right approach for this experimental film." Yeah, so he's definitely carried this on to Tenet as well. And now for a story which Tenet has that's very super complicated, which I also again had a problem with because he's made it over complicated. You shouldn't make your audience just strain their ears to hear what's going on, especially in the movie theater. I can't believe that I was in a movie theater and I was thinking to myself, I wish I had some headphones and some subtitles so I can understand what the hell's going on. When you can hear the dialogue, so there's a scene where Robert Pattinson's character is talking to John David Washington's character, and he's trying to explain like what's going on, which I'm not going to tell you because that's spoilers. So he's trying to explain to him what's going on, and then he's having a problem understanding him because rightfully so, it's freaking confusing. And Robert Pattinson goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's a paradox. Like you don't need to think too hard about it." And I have a problem with that. Like I've always had, it's like a pet peeve of mine when directors or writers write that kind of thing in a script, because it's basically the story is so overcomplicated even for them that they don't know how the hell to explain what's going on. So they tell you basically like, don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it. It's just a paradox. Don't worry about, don't flex those muscles that hard because I don't know what the hell I'm writing. That's a script problem. When you tell people that, you have a problem. That is a major one in movie making, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Not that I've ever made movies. I mean, Christopher Nolan is pretty cool. He's done a lot of great things. I really do love Inception. I think that Inception was his best film with regards to how complicated the story was and how it was done. It was well done in comparison to Tenet. It was much more believable. It was, even as such a grand of a story that it was much more believable and made sense considering what it was about. Whereas in Tenet has flaws, some major flaws, some story plot holes. The ending was, like it was just, it really was lazy. Like I felt like it was like a lazy writing thing. And to be completely honest with you, and I know that it's having problems, but like budgetary issues, and a lot of people are talking about how it's not made enough money with regards to the box office. And a lot of people are thinking that's due to the beer bug. But I can tell you this, if the beer bug wasn't around and movies were out and like normal, the normal way, this movie would have problems. People wouldn't go see it because it freaking sucked in terms of sound, in terms of story and how it was done. The only thing I liked about it was the performances. Like those guys were great. Like they were like, top notch. Robert Pattinson was great. John Washington was great. Everything was great. Like in terms of performances, all the people were great. Other than that, yikes. And I hate saying that because I love sci-fi. So in that article that I was reading, he says, I don't agree with the idea that you can only achieve clarity through dialogue, clarity of story, clarity of emotions. I try to achieve that very layered way using all different things at my disposal, picture and sound. Okay, here's the thing. You can make a movie using a lot of sound situations to get the audience's emotions into it. And I understand that you don't have to use a lot of dialogue to do that because music and score does do that. It adds another layer. But a show that does that really well is Dark from Netflix. That show does that. It brings you in terms of score and music. It just pulls you in when you're watching each scene, and you're kind of like just going with the flow of emotions and everything that's happening to each character with regards to what's going on with sound. Sometimes there's not even any dialogue, but the music is drawing you in. Now that show does it correctly. This movie does not. You're just basically left with a giant headache, and your ears are like you're at a freaking Metallica concert that, just basically blew out your freaking ears for the rest of the night. That's the experience you have with Christopher Nolan's movie. There is really no score. All there is sound. There's not even any music. Like, you're just kind of like, I don't know, ranting now. But anyways, that was my initial thoughts. It was problematic. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Did you see it? Have you gotten a chance to go to the movie theater? Did you experience the sound issues as badly as I did? Because boy, that was rough. And if you did watch it, did you like it? I had other problems with it in terms of story, so maybe we can have a discussion about it down below. Thank you so much, you guys. Don't forget to press that like, subscribe, so you can come back and see me on the channel. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day, guys. Bye!